Welcome into Boxing Scene's top stories on ProBox TV. Download the ProBox TV app. Never fall behind in your boxing news. Well, we have a watch-along tomorrow for Jake Paul versus Mike Tyson, but the undercard, let's not forget about that, the co-main event. It's Taylor versus Amanda Serrano, a rematch of perhaps the most consequential women's boxing match of all time. So does it help a little bit that Jake Paul, as a promoter, has helped women's boxing? The undercard is very, very good. That he's bringing other people along with him, even though he's doing this kind of freak show fight. That is the debate. To help me settle it, that's right, Paulie Malignaggi, Chris Algieri, they're doing the watch-along tomorrow, Friday. Put on the fight, turn off the volume, and listen to these guys. Paulie, what's your thought on that? When people kind of trash Jake Paul for the freak show fight, the Tyson fight, you forget he's bringing some talent along with him, including the Taylor-Serrano fight. What's your thought on that, man?
Yeah, that's where I sort of defend Jake. You know, I've never been on the anti-Jake brigade as much as maybe certain other people. I've also met him, and I see how he has a passion and a real love for the sport of boxing. And honestly, a real respect for it. He really has dedicated himself to training and all that other stuff. Yes, he likes to troll the fans. He likes to troll the sport at times, because in today's day and age with social media, you got to be a little bit of a troll. So yeah, he says, I want the Canelo and all the Canelos of the world and all that other stuff. And that gets all the boxing fans really, really mad. I mean, but then again, you guys should get just as mad for Canelo fighting the trash that he fights too. So, I mean, it works both ways. But nonetheless, let's stick to what you asked me over here. I don't want to get sidetracked, Jimmy. So what I'm saying is, people like, you know, Amanda Serrano, for example. You know, if you look at her story, how good of a fighter this was, and getting no recognition, how difficult it was on the women's side to get recognition. And I'll be honest with you, bro. I'll be honest with you. Most of the women, even most of the women with belts, I look at them boxing and I'm like, it's pretty bad. It's pretty bad. But then there are certain women, you know, that stand out. You know, your Clarissa Shields, your Sinisa Stratas, your Michaela Mayers, your Serranos, your Katie Taylors, and probably a handful of others, you know, that I look at them and I'm like, no, those girls can fight, man. There's got to be a home there where you get rewarded for having worked so hard, having spent your own money at times to invest in yourself. And, you know, on the men's side, you got guys that have done that early in their careers, and then sometimes it pays off. They're able to have a ceiling where it pays off a lot. With the women, a lot of times it was an unrealized dream, you know, where it was like, I remember back in the day, your Melissa Salomon, to speak about another Puerto Rican fighter, it was Lou Duval's sister. Nobody's ever going to know Melissa Salomon. She was unbelievable. I was so impressed when I saw this girl fight. So smooth, such a slick boxer, real timing, real everything. Nobody's ever going to know her, bro. You know what I mean? And it was like, I remember even thinking back then in those days where there was a lot less talent in the female divisions, and thinking like, man, that's a real shame. This girl can fight. I remember back then thinking, she fights like a dude. Like,
Champ.
what I'm saying, she thinks, yo, what's up, champ?
That was Ronica Jeffrey for me.
First
time I saw her,
Ronica, you're a little younger than me. Ronica came later, and I saw Ronica come up, and Ronica was the same in the gym. I remember Ronica coming up. I remember Ronica learning to box and then becoming the boxer she became. She was very good. But I can remember Melissa Salomon looking at her on the Trinidad Pernell Whitaker card in 1999. I was at the Garden. And, you know, just going through the guard. I'm 18 years old. I'm hanging out actually with my buddy Eric Kelly. You guys know him from social media probably. You know, we were there, two teenagers just at the fight, walking around and watching the undercard sporadically, you know, goofing around like kids. And this chick comes on and fights. And I'm like, it wasn't their typical female fight where at that time there was like the bell would ring and they were like battery powered. They were just ding, bing, break, bing, bing, bing. You know, that was early women's boxing. It was no sense of stepping around, no sense of thinking. It was break, go straight back in, go straight back in. Melissa was like just boxing slick, giving different looks, giving different angles, changing her height, punching off the creative moves. I mean, it was like, I was like, dude. At the time, that was what I was thinking. I was like, she fights like a guy. I mean, she thinks in that speed. She reacts in that speed. And you think about that, and then you think about that in the Layla Ali days, where Layla actually brought a lot of attention to female boxing, but she really only looked out for Layla. She never really took the chances like an Ann Wolf fight, which HBO would have bought at the time. So Layla only looked out for Layla and didn't help women's boxing. It's not until now that these women who have struggled, and you get to see their stories. So many of these girls, you don't get to see their stories at all. You have not gotten to see, because they invested in themselves and there was no ceiling to reach, and they just disappear off the face of the earth and you don't hear about them. With Amanda, the reason you hear her story is because of what Jake did for her. Okay, with Amanda, we know her in New York. We've always known she could fight in New York. but she was getting no love. There was nothing there, and the compensation wasn't there. And she's another one who had to invest in herself, pay her own way up a lot of times to get those opportunities, and so on and so forth. And if Jake is not there, Amanda's going to be one of those stories that you're not going to hear about. You're not going to, and there has been plenty. So when I talk about when Jake is helping, and I'm only talking about the women right now because we're talking about Taylor Serrano. There's guys in the same way. Lucas Body, who's a buddy of mine, you know, my buddy Phil Greco was helping to manage him and was managing him in Toronto. You know, investing their own money, putting up their own money. You know, small time, basically house money. You're playing, you're putting your own pocket money, whatever. Gets the opportunity because of Jake. Gets the Ashton Silv fight. He knocks out Silv. Now he's back on this show. When I talk about what Jake is good for boxing, I understand the sideshow. Believe me, I get it. I'm not the biggest fan of it either. I get it. But he loves boxing. He loves to help people. And I'm telling you, it's not just about him. Yes, he's going to try to maximize it. And today, unfortunately, due to social media trolling, maximizes a lot of things. I mean, there's people, you know, when you love the trolling, do you love it for certain people, yes, and certain people, no? You can't have a double standard with everybody. I feel like there's also a little bit of a double standard with Jake. And when it comes to Taylor Serrano, too, I want to see this fight. Do I think they're both kind of shot? Yeah, at this point I do think. But they've earned their right to be here. They gave a great first fight, and they're going to give a great second fight.
Now, Chris, when you look at it, Serrano's getting $8 million, Katie Taylor getting $6 million. That is life-changing money. I don't care, you know, unless you're in the upper echelon of the sport.
That's a movie right there. That's a movie. That's a story right there. Coming from rags to riches. That's it right there.
Chris, that's big money, life-changing money for these ladies. What's your thought on the fight and the payoff?
That's a life-changing money for anybody.
Yeah.
But let me just steel man something that you said, Champ, Paulie, about Serrano. Now, Serrano was as good as you, like all those things you were saying that other woman did. Serrano does that, but also she can punch and she's knocking girls out and still wasn't getting recognized. If not for Jake Paul, she really would have gone into obscurity, and that's a real shame. But yes, Jake is helping these women not only get obviously more eyes in them, which has changed the entire sport, but also they're getting paid. And these are two of the best women in boxing today, aside from Clarissa Shields as well. But Amanda Serrano, Katie Taylor, they've gone through it. They're both in the twilight of their career. Their accomplishments are off the charts. They've done it all at the highest level. Their first fight was fight of the year, maybe the best women's fight that's ever occurred. I was there live that night in the Garden. It was phenomenal, absolutely electric in there. The crowd was into it, not unlike any other female fight I've ever experienced. And it was in the Garden, in the Mecca, man. It was crazy. But yeah, and, you know, we're talking about the undercard as well. There's a couple other fights in there really important. Bruce Shushu Carrington. This kid is driving his career in such a brilliant way. He's becoming a marketing genius at this point. He shows up at all the fights. You see him everywhere. You cannot watch a top-ranked fight without seeing Bruce Shushu Carrington. His social media is off the charts. He's constantly putting out content, putting himself out there. And on top of all of that, the kid comes impressively every single time. Stepping up competition, showing up, doing what he needs to do. It's not just about being the sideshow. It's also about doing the craft. And you can see that with a guy like Bruce Shushu Carrington. Yes, his last fight, controversial one, very tough fight, fought a very, very experienced guy in Sagawa. What does Top Rank do? Allows him to get on this card, put that one in the rear view, get out there, big exposure. They're pushing this kid the right way, and a lot of it is by his own decree charging. But listen, the platform is being put out by Jake Paul in this situation. And then also Mario Barrios, welterweight. We always talk about it on these shows. It's a bit of a wasteland these days, but we have good guys in it. Mario Barrios is a very good quality fighter and a quality champion as well. Not getting his opportunities the way you would like to see. This opportunity opens up. A lot more eyes are now going to see Mario Barrios in a weight class that is getting overlooked consistently. He gets a big win, a good performance on this card. Hey, listen, now we have another player at 147 that other people are actually going to care about, and we can get that weight class going that's been a bit of a funk lately since the departure of Crawford and Spence. So a lot of good things are being done for the sport of boxing. Yes, our main event is our main event, what we're talking. It's more of a spectacle than anything. But it is bringing up a lot of other really important, talented fighters on the undercard. And ultimately, it's going to be a good thing.
And you know what else is great about it? The commentary. Because you can turn it down, tune into us at ProBox TV and listen to my boys Chris Algieri and Paulie Malignaggi do the commentary in a watch-along this Friday. Do not miss it tomorrow night. Turn on the fight, but listen to Paulie Malignaggi and Chris Algieri tomorrow, and we'll see you right after.
ProBox TV Contender Series. On December 7th, look for an all-out Irish war as Dylan the Real Deal Moran battles Tyrone the Mighty Celt McKenna at the top of a stacked ProBox-worthy card.
For more ProBox TV, scan the QR code on the screen or go to the App Store and Google Play. ProBox TV, your boxing channel.